Welcome back to the Unapologetic Podcast. It is episode 100. I cannot believe it. Well, I can't believe it, obviously, but I also can't because holy shit, 100 episodes. That's big. That's huge. I should have looked up the stat because it's actually not in terms of the amount of people that actually start podcasts, the number of people that get to 100 is actually not that many, which is surprising because you're like, oh, everyone starts a podcast. Everyone starts them, but not a lot of people continue. So it's actually not that many that get really far. So I am super proud of myself for getting to 100 episodes. I just think that it's amazing. So I'm celebrating that. We are doing this one a bit different. I'm not doing the Q&A today. We are going to do that another time. But I did want to get on recording this because I was like, I can't keep pushing this off, just waiting to do the Q&A because that's dumb. And I wanted to talk about this part because this is that perfection tendency thing coming up. And it's oh no, I have to wait until I get X number of questions because otherwise it's going to sound dumb. And I won't, it'll look like I'm a failure or nobody listens to the podcast because I'm not getting questions. And all of those things that come up that we get in our head and we tell ourselves as to, oh my God, now I can't do the thing because it didn't work out perfectly the way that I wanted. And it's who cares? Just go on with it anyways. This is still going to be a great episode. We can still celebrate whether it's a Q&A or it's not. It doesn't really matter. I did get some questions and I'm actually going to do something a little bit different with them, which is going to be great anyways. But what I am going to share today is some lessons that I've learned after recording 100 episodes. Because I also think that that is important and there's going to be some interesting little tidbits in here and a little story time that I've never told before. Because I didn't really... Well, the story time, I didn't really want to share it for a while. I had to wait until enough time passed for me to share it. It's one of those. So we'll get there when we get there. So, lessons I have learned after 100 episodes. Now, this is almost 2 years. It's going on almost 2 years that I've been recording because I started on my 40th birthday. I will be 42 in April. So almost 2 years that I've been doing this and I have loved it. I really love it. And it's not obviously a big production thing. This isn't something that's super serious. My desk is in my closet, but it's actually, pro tip here, it's actually really good for sound quality because it's all enclosed. So it is actually really good for that, which is kind of funny. And it was unintentional. This just happens to be where my desk is because I can shut it up at night, which is also amazing. But first lesson, this is actually really in the same vein. I am so glad that I don't do a lot of editing on the podcast. And I know that this is something that people kind of have different thoughts around. And this is personal choice. I'm not saying that, everyone needs to not edit their podcast or whatever. It's up to you. But if this is something that is holding you back, and it's not even just from starting a podcast, this is from posting your content. This is from even if you think about sending out emails and you want to make it the most perfect, aesthetic looking thing, or you want your website to be absolutely beautifully aesthetic, or you want whatever, it doesn't have to be perfect. And if I would have been thinking that I had to like perfectly edit my podcast, I would have quit by now. Like I used to have my intro where I did have where I said my little intro. I can't even remember what it was because it was so long ago. And now I just have like the vibey music. So I did have that for a while, but even that wasn't a big deal. You just add it on to the beginning and the end. I use CapCut. By the way, it's free. It is so fucking easy. Like my editing is ridiculous. How it's actually like, I always laugh when I tell people how little I edit. And sometimes I wish that I just recorded on my phone. And I may do this actually, like, especially in the summer, so then I can record it on walks and stuff. If I'm not going to do YouTube, like the video anymore, which I will talk about in a minute, but because it's just, it's so little editing. Like, it's so ridiculous. But that's the whole thing. You don't have to do it perfect. People want real. And like, I'm just a normal person, like sitting in my closet, like I said. And yes, there are certain podcasts you're going to listen to and they're going to have like high production value or whatever, high production team and like all that stuff. But they're major podcasts with like sponsors and all of the things. And like, I don't have that. And I don't need that. Like, I really, whatever. I don't need it. So that's been like one of the really good things. And I think in terms of relating this back to like the content thing and all of that, it's the same kind of thing. I've had clients who are like comparing themselves to people who do have, you know, professional content done, and they have like a whole setup in their house where they have all the lights and they're filming different things and they have all of these shots and like, you don't need to do that. People want real. And you don't need to put that pressure on yourself. You really don't. I would say the second thing that I have absolutely loved is this has been a really good outlet to just talk about things really honestly and openly. Like, it's so easy for me to come on here and just like talk. And that's been a really fun part. Like, this is not, again, produced in any way. I've started to have some notes so I don't go off on too many tangents because ADHD. So it keeps me a little bit like in line. But other than that, it's nice to just like have the discussion. And I feel like it's something where I feel like I'm connecting with people when they listen in. I hope that you feel like that. You can let me know. You can, write me a message, let me know. You can send me fan mail through the any of the things that you listen on. I think that there's a like link in there that you can send me a text or a message or whatever it is, and I'll get it. You can let me know. But that's, I love it being that way. It is not supposed to be this thing where I'm like talking at you or it's super scripted or anything like that. It's just supposed to be like fun to listen to, enjoyable, all of that. The other thing that I've really loved, the guests that I've had on. I think I've had on a lot of really good guests with really good stories and really good, meaningful things to share. And that's something that's been really important to me, is trying to find people who are very aligned with the things that I value in both business and life. And, you know, being able to share those things, being able to share their perspectives on business and on things in life and what's going on in the world and stuff like that. And just successful women doing the fucking thing, like actually owning their success and talking about it. And, you know, I think that that's really important. And so I've really enjoyed that part of it. Now, here's where the story time comes in. And I think that everyone who does a podcast probably has this happen, but there is only one episode that I have ever taken down. And you probably wouldn't even know because it was up for a very short time. And it's because after I released it, I found out that me and this person were not aligned in business. It was very much a case of if you are not at this level, and I mean, personally, I don't think the levels in business exist. Like, this is one of the parts that just drives me fucking crazy, first off. But if you aren't at this level, like, you can't have access to me. You can't talk to me. You know, don't fraternize with between levels of business owners. And I did not find this out until after the podcast was released, but I saw some things after. And I was like, hell no, nope. And this is the thing. I'm someone that is very serious about who I align with in both business and in life in terms of values. I think that I've made that pretty clear. I created the safer list, you know, and I talk about different things, you know, in terms of business and that. And I was just like, no, I can't platform someone that has those kinds of values and would treat people that way. So that's the only one that I've ever actually taken down. And it was interesting. I felt kind of weird about it because I was like, what if they notice? But also there was no way they were going to notice because I don't think that they even noticed that it was released. So there's that. So that was interesting. But that's the only one that's really ever been weird like that. Thank God. I've been lucky because I've heard other people have stories of other things. But that's been the only one. So good thing for that. Otherwise, those are the things that, you know, I've really enjoyed and the lessons that I've really, you know, learned with this. And because I keep I keep it so basic, I think that that's a big thing. It's been fairly easy. Now, I will say there are some things I would do different and that I'll be changing going forward because of keeping it so easy and so simple. That's also made it harder-ish in some ways. So one of the things I'm going to be doing is having more of a strategy for episode topics going forward. And that might not be weird for anyone listening. Like, you might be like, oh, it makes sense what you're talking about. Or you might be like, yeah, you really should fucking do that because like it's random and all over the place. Yeah, that's what it feels like to me because I'm someone who really likes planning and who really likes having a strategy and having things, you know, that make sense that way. So this is something that I really want to tighten up, and I want to do this more for the solo episodes and, be more mindful of my time and how I can use my podcast, more effectively and strategically in that way. So that's something that I will be doing, but it also is something that's going to benefit you. And that's another reason that I was like, this does make sense and why I wanted to really do this, because it's going to be focused much more on like scaling your business, how to do that sustainably from my framework of strategy, systems, mindset, data, implementation, and execution. And also because I do want this to be something where every time you listen, you do get something out of each episode. It's not just like you're listening and you're like, oh, that was nice, but there's not a real takeaway. I really want you to have a tangible takeaway every time. That is my goal going forward, is that each episode gives you that. And I'm also mindful of your time listening. And so I don't want to waste that on just like listening to me ramble about different things. So I want you to have a tangible takeaway every time that you're listening. So those are kind of the things that I'm thinking about. Another interesting thing that I did want to mention is doing the video on YouTube. And this is something that I think if you are thinking about, doing a podcast or anything like that, something to really consider. Now, video is very beneficial. And you have to remember that if you are going to do that, it's not as simple as just posting the video there and then it just like, you get all these subscribers and whatever. It really does take work to go into that, because you have to set up the SEO there, your strategy there, knowing how to actually post on that platform as well. It's just like any other platform. When you are posting on Instagram versus Facebook versus LinkedIn versus TikTok, like you post on all of them different, and YouTube is the same. So if you're doing a podcast and you want to add video onto that, you really have to consider that you do need to learn a new platform in order to do that. So it's not that you can't, but take that into consideration also in terms of your expectations around that, because I know I personally don't have any expectations around it. So it doesn't matter. Like I post mine on there and it doesn't get many views, which I don't really care because I haven't worked on those things, right? I haven't done the SEO optimization. I haven't done all of those things to really optimize it so that I could take advantage of it. And at the same time, it's kind of then a waste of time for me to be posting on there. And so that's one thing that I may not be doing anymore, because it is also a pain in the ass to cut, because I cut shorts for it too. And I do that. That's a pain in the ass. And that does take time. So those are just some things to think about. And just in terms of when you're thinking about marketing and social media and all of that and adding on a new platform, when it isn't podcasting, just marketing your business in general, anytime that you go onto a new platform, you do have to remember that it is probably not the same strategy as the platform you are currently on. It's going to be a little bit different. Like the way that I post on Instagram versus Facebook is different. I get results from both, but I post differently on both of them. And it's the same thing here. So it's just like considering those tweaks and knowing that you are actually like taking that into consideration, and also thinking about whether you actually have time to learn a new platform and implement what needs to be implemented in order to get results from that, and whether it's going to be beneficial to you in terms of, are your leads there? But that's a whole nother conversation. So that's like a mini takeaway, I guess, for today. That I'll just add in. So anyways, that's kind of what I've learned over 100 episodes. It has been so much fun. I have absolutely loved it. And I can't wait to do 100 more. So super excited for that. One last thing, or a couple last things, I guess, that I have to leave you with. I do have coming up next Wednesday, I have a brand new workshop that you can come join us at. It is the 6-Figure Plus Planning Workshop. And I am going to share with you how you can plan for success in 2026 and all of the things that I have learned after doing this for over 13 years, which is insane. But over 13 years supporting clients in their businesses to scale and do it sustainably, long-term strategies and systems, all of the things, and also what is kind of changing in terms of especially like marketing and social media for 2026, and how you can implement that for your business so that you can really see the results that you are wanting in 2026. So I will leave the link to that in the show notes so that you can sign up and join us. It is free to come, so make sure you sign up. And next episode, I'm going to answer one of our questions. And this question is, I think you're going to love it because it is a really good one. What is your favorite client struggle that you love helping them with? Now, I don't like seeing my clients struggle, but I'm going to be talking about something that is super helpful in terms of shifting your mindset around business so that you can really build your momentum and keep it and grow and scale to get the results that you want. So that's what I'm going to be talking about in the next one to answer this question. And that's what I will be coming back with for the next solo episode. Thank you so much if you have been here since episode 1, back when we were behind the scenes of business without the BS. It has changed so much since then, but I still absolutely love it. And yeah, I would love to hear what has been your favorite episode. What has been, like, what have you liked the best from the podcast? Let me know. And I will catch you in the next one. As always, go after everything that you fucking want and be unapologetic about it.